I'm going to redo my diagnostics of the P0446 video. My first video is a bit incoherent rambling and a lot of false information based on my lack of understanding. So now that I've kind of come down and learned quite a bit, so far all I've done is I got a few more codes during troubleshooting, but they could be related to unplugging things and doing the diagnostics. So far all I've done is go to the junkyard and purchase a new charcoal canister vent vacuum switch valve, which is located at the air duct. This is for a '01 Toyota Camry, California emissions. And reset the code. So I'm going to see if that does it. My initial code indicated a fault in that circuit for that sensor. So I figured the first step is I did get the voltmeter out and the power probe and test just like A1 Auto said to make sure that I'm getting the proper power to those sensor connectors or the switch connectors. And I figured I'd done all the troubleshooting. What I really want to do is have my scan tool run the evap test and show me the pressure along the way. But apparently I either can't figure out how to make it work, or this launch creator tool that's supposed to do everything on a Toyota, it does actuate the switches, so that's helpful troubleshooting. But I want to see the vapor pressure during the evap test, and it just doesn't show it. I went as far as to purchase the Harbor Freight Icon T7 scan tool, only to get it home and find out that it essentially has the exact same software as this launch tool, and it also doesn't show the vapor pressure during the evap test. Maybe, again, it's a misunderstanding on my part that I simply don't understand how it works, or maybe I could track it and go back and look at the data. I don't know. I'm going to dig into this some more. I haven't priced out the Snap-on tool. I can only imagine it's super expensive, so I'm probably going to work some more on this launch tool, take back the T7, and see if I can figure out how to look back at a graph of the pressure after doing the test. So for now, working on learning my scan tool abilities and like I said, getting a pressure readout during this evap test, running it either in automatic mode or manual mode. So far I've been doing them in manual mode. And so I kind of changed gears once I realized that I just can't get the data I want. I would prefer to do diagnostics and actually figure out what's going on. But the code is pretty simple. It's saying a circuit fault into the sensor, so that it's basically saying there's not a vacuum issue. It's like the car is having an issue determining what's going on with the switch. So change the switch with the Junkyard one. I could not figure out for the life of me what the part number is. I called Toyota Parts Desk. They gave me the part numbers, but they don't know where they go. It wasn't very helpful. So the part I ordered from eBay was the wrong part. It was this switch right here, which is the evap purge valve. It's right on the fuel rail area on top of the engine intake manifold. And then the part I need was the charcoal canister vent valve, which is on the air box. They look different. The one's round, one's more rectangular. So I didn't want to the plugs themselves don't allow you to swap them. So just kind of designed in that they want you to use the right valve. So got one from the Junkyard, put it on there, reset the codes. We'll see if it continues to have issues. I'll troubleshoot further. In the meantime, I'm going to dig into this scan tool problem I'm having of not knowing how to monitor the pressure during this very basic evap test. At some point, I did get out the power probe tool that I've never used before, learned how to use it, check the fuses, check power to the connectors for the various switches. I watched the A1 YouTube video on the tutorial. So during the troubleshooting, I managed to trip a few more codes. One of them is the incorrect purge flow, which I had unplugged for quite a bit. I've been running these evap tests, so maybe that one's nothing. But also just a generic evap code. So those are all to be expected. All have been now reset. So here's a picture of what the charcoal canister vent valve looks like. Here's a up close in the car. It's over there by the airbox. I think this is with the airbox top removed. Here's the one I got from the Junkyard. I'm going to install. And this is the evap purge valve from the Junkyard that I tested but didn't actually install, since I think the one I have is probably okay. Here's my original scan tool from Harbor Freight SendTech. It can send a command to do the evap test, but that's it. It's just a one button thing, and I guess you got to figure it out from there. And the Icon T7 didn't seem to be any better than the much cheaper launch Creator Elite tool. So that's kind of my conclusion. Just gonna do a parts cannon for now from the Junkyard. It's pretty cheap. Charcoal canisters are $30. The switches are 15. So this Haynes manual is probably the most important tool for this whole diagnostics. So here's the results of the parts cannon. This is the one for my car. I already installed the new charcoal canister vent valve in the air box. Super easy. This was tough to remove that switch at the Junkyard, so I just took the whole rail off and paid for 3 switches. So $45 for that thing. And then here's a charcoal canister I moved yesterday from the Junkyard, and there's the switch on the bottom. And as you can see, the inlet and outlet hoses are 180 degrees, so all 3 switches have different hose orientations. The charcoal canister vent is at 90, the evap purge is at 0 degrees, and this one seems to be at like 170 degrees. So maybe that's designed on purpose, or just based on how the vacuum tubes are running. So ended up taking quite a bit of tools to the Junkyard, but only using a few. So I figured I'd lay out the tools I use to extract these various parts from the Junkyard. The charcoal canister's under the car, so Hercules 1/2-inch compact impact gun with a small 2-hour amp battery, vice grips to hold the hood, connector disconnectors, 19mm gear wrench long, box end wrench to remove some stabilizer bars to give more access to the charcoal canister, which was held in by 2 14mm bolts. I used this gear wrench wobbly extension and this Tecton roto head 10mm.